What's up, everybody? How's everybody's Saturday going? Just finishing up one last little thing here, setting it up so I can... There it is. There we are. How's everybody's Saturday going? I decided to jump on a Saturday stream just to try something new. Usually we stream Wednesdays, Thursdays in the afternoon, but I just wanted to see who would join on a Saturday. So today we're going to go over the new LIMBER LITE. I haven't even installed it yet, so I haven't even touched it. We're going to take a look at what we can do with it, and it's going to be fun. So today's going to be a little bit of a shorter stream, but looks like we got some people joining. Where's everybody from? Say hello in the chat. Can you guys hear me, by the way? I got a new mic set up, and I want to make sure you guys can hear me. PK. Hello, hello. Awesome. I'm assuming you guys can hear me. Artem, welcome. Welcome back as always. I recognize that name. Mike sounds great. Awesome. Oh man, I'm so excited for summer, you guys. You don't even know. I went outside last night after the sun went down and I didn't even have to put a jacket on. It was glorious. I loved it. Istanbul. That's awesome. What time is it there? It's got to be in the evening, right? Algeria. What time is it where you're at, Artem? If I'm saying that right. I hope I am. Okay. 7 p.m., not too bad. Hope you had a fun, productive Saturday. It's just it's 10 o'clock in the morning where I am. $8 p.m. Artem. Okay, so not too late for you. It's easier for you to catch these. We're just waiting for a few more people to trickle in, and then we'll get started. But Ukraine. What time is it in Ukraine? Probably around 7, 8 p.m. I'm guessing. Maybe slightly earlier, slightly later. Actually, I don't know. Okay. Okay. So yeah, right around then. Man, we got a bunch of international viewers today. I'm in the US, so it's 10 o'clock. I'm in Mountain Standard Time, so it's 10 o'clock in the morning for me on Saturday. Ooh. Weather's great. A little cloudy outside, but a little windy, so we might have a storm rolling in, but thanks. The morning light makes me look younger. everybody, I don't know what I was going to say. So I got a new setup. I'm actually able to use my actual camera now instead of my cell phone. And then I got rid of my big mic that I had on my desk, and now I just use this little mic, this little lapel mic. I hated using that other mic because it just got in the way of my screen, and I was having to reach under the arm, and it was just a disaster, and I just felt like it got in the way of everything. So I'm excited. I got this little wireless setup now. I'm free. I just feel more natural. What kind of camera? I have a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K. So it's the best camera for the price in my opinion. And then I've got a little speed booster on it, so I get a little bit of a wider field of view. And then I've got a Sigma 14 or 18 to 35 millimeter lens on there, and that's what I film all my YouTube videos on. Plus, I love working with the Blackmagic RAW codec because it plays nicely in Premiere. And Eck. Hey, about the rigging course. Is there any information about what the course includes? Actually, well, yes. I'm going to go over that today for everybody who's interested. I've got a lot of really good responses from the survey that I put out. And in case this is your first time joining, I'm coming out with a character rigging and animation course sometime in the next month to month and a half. And so anyway, I got a lot of really good feedback on that survey. So that's helped me kind of clarify the lesson plans and whatnot. I'm still working on that, but I'm going to talk about that today, and I'm going to kind of give an overview of what is included in that course and some potentially exciting news about the course that I'm excited to share, but we'll get into that in a second. PK, new setup seems to be working perfectly. Awesome. That's good to hear. What's the price of the course? Well, I don't have a price of the course yet, because how in depth I go is still, the amount of information that's going to be in the course is still kind of in flux. I'm still nailing that down. So once that's nailed down, I'll have a firm price for when it launches, but right now you can pre-order it for a discounted price, and we'll get into all that in a second. But great questions, guys, and whatever the price ends up being, I'm going to try to price it so it feels like a really good deal for you. I'm excited. I love character animation and character rigging. And I'm going to show you guys some of my early character animations here in a second. They're kind of funny to me because I'm like, wow, these are really bad. But I've come a long way, and I want to share that with people. So I want to help you guys not get frustrated. Do you guys ever get frustrated with character animation? Maybe I'm assuming too much, but I remember in the early days how frustrating it could be to try to figure out how to do it correctly. Max Magnus, welcome back. Always good to see familiar names in the chat. I'm not expecting as many people to join us on a Saturday because people are probably busy getting stuff done. And yeah, but I just wanted to jump on and see who would join and see, you know, I'm testing out different times to stream during the week to see what is the best time for everybody to join. Obviously, morning's going to be better for some people, especially people over in Europe and Asia, because it's going to be not the middle of the night. But we'll see. Max Magnus, I was doing a lot of 3D in Maya, so yeah, you got a leg up there. you kind of have a little bit of a understanding of character rigging. All right, let's talk about the course really quick. I just want to breeze through this, and then let's get right down to taking a look at LIMBER LITE, which I haven't even installed yet. So we're going to install it, and this is going to be my first time taking a look at it, and we're going to kind of explore it and see what you can do with it, see what's there, and yeah, it's going to be fun. If you haven't heard about LIMBER or LIMBER LITE, LIMBER is a character rigging tool for After Effects, and LIMBER LITE is just a free version of the full LIMBER. But before we get to that, I just want to talk about the course real quick. Again, if this is your first time joining us, I have a course that you can pre-order right now at keyframeacademy.com/character-preorder. Link in the description. I want to show you guys something real quick though. Let's go to my Premiere. Okay, I have some old character animations that I did back in the day. These are just really quick. I thought it was kind of funny to go back and look at these because I'm just like reliving the frustration and the fear in my heart of character rigging back in the day when I didn't quite get it. But you have things like this. I think this was one of the first things I ever used Do-It for, and I barely could figure out how to get it to work. And you know, the movements are super minimal. There's this guy. I mean, I look at this, I'm like, look at this. Look at that knee. Can I zoom in? I think I can. Yeah. Look at that knee. Like, those knees don't even line up. This elbow right here is not even lining up. Man, this is just some character artwork I downloaded off of Envato or something. And then I had to try to retrofit it for character animation. And then right here I'm just using the Do-It walk cycle generator. It's not bad, but I don't ever use that anymore. You can't, I don't know if you guys could tell, but the head's moving weird on the neck, stuff like that. And then this one is literally, I'm just putting a rotate. I'm not even building a rig for this. I'm just putting a rotation keyframe on this arm and just animating that. Simple little character animations. This one wasn't even it's not even a rig. I literally just animated all the paths, the shape paths, to make that animation. And then she kind of looks over at the side. This was before I had ever discovered joysticks and sliders, so I'm literally just animating the path. This was 5 years ago. A little head tilt and arm. So basic. I don't know what's going on with this run cycle, but I think I tried to use Do-It, but I just didn't quite get it. So I have a question for everybody. How many of you feel like you kind of get how to animate characters or how to rig characters, but your characters kind of feel like this example where it's the animation is just kind of stiff, doesn't feel like it's full of life, you know? It's just kind of boring. There's just something missing, you know? All these movements are just kind of meh. Does anybody else feel like they run into that? Or they feel like character animation in After Effects kind of results in kind of these mechanical, stiff character animations? Anyway, we'll just run through it again. See, all this stuff is very, very, man, this one makes me cringe the most probably. Just because all the joints are not correctly lined up. So yeah, I used to try to do the minimum with character animation because it just, it was hard, and it's hard to pick up. So So if you're just joining us, we just had a couple people pop in. I'm just showing some old work that I had back in the early days of when I first discovered Duik and kind of my struggles. Max Magnus, the real question is that the stiff movements are in most explainer videos. It's like a standard or something. I don't think, well, you're right. It is in a lot of explainer videos, and I just think it's because there's not great learning resources out there on how to do more dynamic stuff in After Effects. All the tutorials you find. Hey Artem, thanks for giving me your email. I'll definitely update you on the character course when it comes out. I don't think that it has to be that way. I just think that there's not a lot of good learning resources on the techniques to do really cool animations. There are people out there who can do incredible animations in After Effects that are as good as any animation I've ever seen from any other program. But the problem is that all the tutorials kind of focus on the basics, you know, how to rig your character and then a walk cycle. And there's so much to rigging. I mean, you probably know this from coming from 3D, but there's so much to rigging a character beyond just setting up the IK limbs, you know. There's things you can do. And a lot of times people will run into an issue with a character rig and then think, I guess I'm speaking from my experience. I would run into an issue with character rigging and kind of go, well, I guess this is just a limitation of After Effects. Like, you know, there's no solution to this. But I think I've found a lot of the solutions, like a lot of common problems that nobody really shares or doesn't think to share. And so I definitely think you can do better. And so that's kind of what I'm setting out to teach in my course. We'll go over that. Eptem, I don't know how to say your name, but I'll show you some of my more current riggings here in a second. So anyways, this is a real good question, and I think this is something that a lot of people feel like. It's not so much that they want to do stiff movements, that it just, you know, they don't know how to break out of that. So that's kind of what the course is going to help you do. We're going to break you out of that. I'm going to show you techniques and ways to animate to kind of break out of that mechanical, lifeless animation and bring some more life to your animation. And part of that is just becoming better at animating, but part of that is building better rigs that can do more. So, let me just go to the window here. Okay, let me clear this message out of the way so we can, there we go. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, course overview. So, one of the biggest things about good, dynamic, fun, engaging, emotive animations is planning them out and having good planning practices. So, how to come up with good references, how to build out good references, planning your animation beforehand before you go to rig it will save you a lot of time in not, you know, so you don't spend time rigging something that you're never going to use. My philosophy is I like to get to the animation portion as quickly as possible, and I want to spend the least amount of time on rigging and setting things up. I want to have fun. I want to get to the fun part, which is giving life to characters. But to do that, you got to plan your animation, because if you don't plan your animation, then you might spend a lot of time rigging a whole head rig that you know, if your character is only going to look to the left once, you don't need to rig it up so it can look up and down and right and left, unless you're doing something like a series or something and you need to have a flexible rig. But for most like explainer videos, you just need to know what your character rig needs to do, and then you rig it for that. And you won't know what you need it to do unless you plan out your animation. So that's something we'll go over in the course. And then I'm going to teach you how to efficiently build your character. not just rig it, but how do you build it so that you can efficiently rig it and that you don't run into some common problems like this problem where that I had where the knees, you know, are breaking when they start to bend. Okay, so that's something we'll work on. I'll tell you all my techniques and everything that I do to build up my rigs. And also part of that is how to take other people's artwork and turn it into a rig, because sometimes people build things into their character artwork that makes rigging it kind of difficult. So I'll show you how I solve those issues. And then I'm going to share a lot of little quick, easy techniques to bring your character rigs to the next level. And what I mean by that is how to add perspective. So how to create the illusion of sometimes it's called 2.5D or fake 3D or faux 3D. Basically, how do you make your characters not just look flat? Because that's also another thing that seems to be a standard with character animation in After Effects is people use really simple character art because they think it's too complicated to give any kind of detail to their characters, and because of that, everything ends up looking flat. Everything looks flat and boring and stiff. And I'm going to teach you how to rig everything up. And again, because I'm going to teach you how to plan your animations and I'm going to teach you how to efficiently build your character rigs, you're going to save a lot of time in the rigging portion. You're going to know how to save time in that portion so that you can get to animating sooner. Because a lot of times the problem is you spend so much time rigging your character that you run out of time really finessing your animations, which means your animations don't turn out as well. They seem mechanical, stiff, flat, whatever. You're unimpressed, your client's unimpressed, and it just, you leave the project feeling frustrated or like it didn't turn out how you wanted. I want to teach you how to get to that point where it turns out exactly how you're envisioning it in your head. And the other thing too is I'm going to show how you solve common problems that come up as you're creating your characters. Like, for example, just one example is how do you rig a character with outlines? Because it seems simple when you first think about it, like, oh, it's the same as any other character. But for those of you who have done it, there's things that you run into, issues you run into with the joints and everything where the outline makes things tricky. So we'll go over some of the stuff like that. And then of course, we'll finish off the course with taking the rig that we build for test drive, and I'll show you how to do things as simple as a walk cycle. Walk cycles are important to understand how to do because they involve so many different techniques. But then we'll cover other things like when to use IK, when to use FK, what kind of actions are good for FK, what kind of actions are good for IK. So we'll end it off with animation, because that's important too. Franco, I always avoid it. I'm assuming you're talking about character animation. And I was like that too. I was for sure like that too. Especially because I didn't know that there were alternatives to Duik. And while Duik is a super awesome tool, and it is one of the tools we'll be using in this course, it is very unapproachable at first. Because you could break character animation into a bunch of different disciplines, and knowing how to use Duik is like one of those. But if you don't know the other disciplines of character animation, Duik can become very frustrating very quickly. So I'm here to help solve that, make character animation more approachable, but not only that, but show you how to bring life to these character rigs. Outlines, yeah. Okay, so that's what you meant. Yeah, outlines. But what do you do? Like, you can't avoid it if it's your own projects, but what do you do if you're working with a designer and they give you a character artwork and it has outlines. So it's good to know how to fix those issues, right? So that's something we'll cover in the course. Yeah, Rubber Hose was one of the first things I discovered as an alternative to Do It, which was a light bulb moment for me. But I don't actually use Rubber Hose anymore because I think it's a little too limited for me, or it's a little too niche for me. Do It is free, I know, easy to get, but it's hard to understand, and I think it breaks the performances. This is exactly the problem, right? And I think this speaks to what was said earlier about character animations in After Effects being stiff and it kind of seeming like that's how everybody does it. I think it's a myth that it's because of Duik, but I do think that the fact that Duik is sort of unapproachable does not help. So, but actually, so anyway, the course, let me just go to the next slide here. So obviously in this course, we'll be using After Effects. We'll be using Adobe Illustrator. That's supposed to be Illustrator. Just a second. So I'll teach you a few things about Adobe Illustrator. We'll be using After Effects, of course. For rigging, we'll be using Limber, not Duik. But we will be using Duik for some other things because I think Duik's most useful tool is not its rigging tool, believe it or not, in my opinion. It is its connector tool. And I use that tool for every character rig I do, even if I'm using Limber. Arshian Animation, bro, make a VCam tutorial. Yeah, you've messaged me and commented about this. I don't know anything about VCam because I don't use Adobe Animate, so I just use After Effects. There is what little I do know about VCam. There is a script for After Effects called BoxCam. It's the same thing, but I don't know much about VCam or Adobe Animate at this point. Might be correct, yes. Almost limiting is correct. I don't know what that one refers to. I'm assuming it's talking about Rubber Hose. Rubber Hose needs an upgrade because DK Tool does stuff better. Yeah, I like DK Tool, but they're both kind of... Rubber Hose and DK Tool are both kind of catering towards that kind of noodly character design, which is fine, and you can do some really cool stuff. Like if you've ever seen DK's stuff, it's awesome, but not my style. And you can do all that with Limber too, so I just stick with Limber personally. But so anyway, let me just finish up talking about this course. So we'll be using Adobe After Effects, Illustrator, Limber for the rigging, and Duik for some other stuff. Now, I have some exciting news about Limber. Is if you're thinking, oh, this course sounds cool, but I don't have Limber. I just prefer to use Duik, or because it's free, and I don't have Limber, so can I still take this course? The answer to that question is yes, because a full temporary license to Limber will be included with the course. So if you are on the fence about Limber, you can take the course, you can take Limber for a test drive, and I'll show you how I use Limber to do cool animations. And we'll be doing animations like this with Limber that implement some cool techniques that break out of just like the side profile or front view. You know, we'll try to teach you everything I know so we can make some cool 2.5D character animations. So anyway, if you guys are interested in the course, some of you have heard this whole spiel before because I know you've been on the live streams. If you're interested in the course, there's a link in the description of the video. You can go to it, keyframeacademy.com/character pre-order. You can pre-order the course for discounted price, and then I'll let you know as soon as lessons start coming out. Right now is the best time to get it because this is the cheapest it's going to be, and so go grab that if you're interested. Or you can email me at john@keyframeacademy.com if you have any questions about what's going to be in the course, or you know what any questions you have about the course. And of course, as I'm saying course a lot, but we'll have much more information as we get closer to launch. So that's my spiel about the course. Go check it out. If you want to get it for even cheaper, there's also, I think there's also a link in the description where you can go fill out a survey, which will bring you to a website. Once you fill out that survey, you'll get a link to a website where you can get the course for even cheaper as a thank you for giving me your feedback. So yeah. All right. Should we jump into LIMBER LITE? Let me go back to the browser because, oops. All right, LIMBER LITE is a new tool from Animatable, and it's basically a free version of LIMBER. So all those of you in the chat who said you like Rubber Hose and DK Tool, I want you to pay attention because I think LIMBER LITE is a competitor to those things, and it's free, which Rubber Hose, DK Tool, not free. LIMBER LITE is free. It's very basic, but I think that we'll find out that I haven't actually opened the tool up yet, so I don't know exactly what it looks like, but we're going to explore it today and see what we can do with it. Maybe we'll even make a little animation. Franco, when are we going to launch the course? The course is going to be launched in either early or end of this month, early May, or maybe mid-May. I've got to have it out by mid-May because I've got something going on at the end of May I got to have it out before then. So all right, so LIMBER, there's also, I left a link in the description to go download LIMBER LITE if you guys want to follow along or if you want to check it out yourself. You know, when I'm talking about DUIC and how unapproachable it can make character rigging for newbies, LIMBER LITE is probably going to be, in my guess, is going to be one of the most approachable ways to start character animation. So anyways, give me a sec here. Hit me with your guys' questions if you have any questions about the course while I install LIMBER LITE on my After Effects, and then I got to reboot After Effects. Almost done. Okay, just paste it there. Yes. Let's see. Boom, boom. We got some new chats. Let me pull up the chat. Ernesto, are project files included in the course? Yes, they will be included in the course, as well as we'll have projects for you to finish, you know, prompts. I think the best way to learn is to do it yourself. Also, I should mention that you'll be able to ask me questions as you're going through the course, and I'll be able to answer those questions directly. We're still working out how to do that. We may do like a weekly webinar where I can just like answer people's questions. People's like questions that require a little bit more explanation. Obviously, I haven't decided which course platform to put the course on, but I'm hoping whatever one I go with, you'll be able to comment on each lesson and you leave your questions. I can answer them there, but then we'll do kind of like a weekly week in review. Let's go over people's questions and stuff like that. So that'll be for the people who pre-order. After that first initial run through of the course will still be available for people to purchase, but it will no longer, I don't know. I'm still working out those details, but Robert Stern, can I import Illustrator layers to Limber? Sorry guys, if I haven't got to your questions yet, I'm gonna go back through and make sure I'm answering everybody's questions. I just wanted to get through the pitch on the course. Yes, well, you don't import them to Limber. Limber is not a program. Limber is just an add-on to After Effects. But yes, you can use Limber, because I think what your question really is can you use Limber to rig up Illustrator files? And the answer to that question is yes. You have to convert them to After Effects shape layers first, and then you can use Limber to create a limb from those files. And I've gone over how to do that in past videos and in a past live stream, so you can go check that out. And of course, that will be something that's covered in depth in the course. But if you don't want to wait for the course, there's videos on my channel on how to do that. Limber seems good. I've used it a couple times, but I don't know. Rubber feels much easier. I mean, I don't agree, but to each their own. I wouldn't necessarily say Limber is easier to use than Rubber Hose, but Rubber Hose might be easier to use. But Limber is like if you're talking on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being hard, 1 being Duick, and 5 being Rubber Hose. Limber's a 4, right? In terms of ease of use. Rubber Hose is a 5. It's like the easiest to use, and then Limber is just right below it. But here's the thing: Limber has so much more functionality in terms of how you can customize your rig, and that's why I'm deciding to use Limber in this course, and am including it as a part of. I'm including the temporary license for those who buy the course, so that you can get a feel for how Limber works and why, if you want to really do cool, fun, dynamic animations like these, like this little forward walk, or this guy, or a bunch of this stuff, you gotta use Limber, not Rubber Hose. Sorry. I love Battle Axe. I love the guys. They make Overlord, and I love Overlord, but Limber's my tool of choice, so that's why I'm including it. Which is the best script for text animation? I'm not entirely sure what you mean. For animation, there's a bunch of different scripts. You can use Motion. You can use Flow. Those help with like animation. There's other things like Animation Composer. That's a tool that you can use for character animation. For text animation, sorry. There's AE Juice, has a bunch of text presets, so Animation Composers from Mr. Horse. Okay, I'm gonna catch up on these questions. I already answered that question. So PK, just to clarify this statement right here. When you get access to the course, you will get access to the full featured version of Limber. So, because Limber Lite has a lot of the features cut out of it, but you will get access to a temporary full license. I don't know how long the license will be for yet. We haven't worked out those details quite yet, but you'll get full access because I want you to be able to do everything I do with Limber, and so I can show you how I do it. Get your feet wet. And if you want to use Limber LITE, you know, it's free anyway, so you can go download it, but there are going to be quite a few features that are missing from Limber LITE. And I'm just opening it up as we speak, actually. Okay. Not much, just hanging out on a Saturday morning. Definitely. Like I said, I've got some videos on Limber, and that's going to be my tool of choice for After Effects, my After Effects character rigging and animation course. Oh, wow. Okay. All right, we're about to jump into After Effects. I'm just catching up on some questions. Yikes. Yeah, there's ways to do that. There's ways to accomplish this, importing like reusing a rig. I mean, essentially a Limber rig is the same as a Do It rig. It's just using different code to make the rig. So anything you can do with a Do It rig. Yeah, we're about to find out. We're about to find out. What about character tool, which is DK tool? I'm not going to be using that in the course. I don't use DK tool for character animation. It's not a bad tool. It's not a bad tool, but it's just not the tool I prefer to use. I actually, there's a few things about DK tool that I just, after using Limber, I just kind of don't really enjoy. One thing I like about Limber is it is proactive about keeping you organized, keeping you helping you name your layers so they're easy to find. Whereas DK tool has all that functionality, but it's not proactive about it. So if you forget and you just hit new limb, then you just get this default name that doesn't really work. Can you please make some tutorials on combining Duik and Limber rigging? That would be really helpful. Lots of love from India. Lots of love from the US. Yeah, I will. I do have those planned for future tutorials on my channel. In fact, that's what I do. I use Duik and Limber all the time, and that's what we'll be doing in the course. So, all right, should we jump into, I think I'm all caught up on when's going to launch the course. Again, beginning to mid-May. That's all the questions. All right, let's jump into After Effects. Do you like teaching people? What university did you go to? Yes, I love teaching people because I'm all self-taught and I know how frustrating it can be sometimes to learn something on your own. So that's the kind of angle that I take when I teach people how to use After Effects. I went to a university for a little bit. I didn't graduate, and I didn't go for animation or anything like that. I was in the film program, but I ended up getting a job as a video editor and kind of dropped out. And then things kind of led me to today, where I am now a freelance motion designer. So, oops, I went to the wrong. Why is it showing Premiere? I'm just going to close Premiere. Uh-oh, we can't see After Effects. There we go. All right, let's take a look at LIMBER LITE. Okay. What do you think about AI possibly or eventually making most careers in design obsolete? I don't know. I'm too busy just working now. I don't have time to think about that kind of stuff. I think it's a long way off, but I don't know enough about it to say it's going or not going to happen. But if it does, I don't think it's anytime soon. I don't know jack squat about AI, so. Okay, guys, let's get into it. All right, I've got LIMBER over here. LIMBER LITE. It's just one button, really. I mean, there's another button. You can go get the full version of LIMBER, but it's just one little tiny button over here. Now here's the full version of LIMBER. Comes with all these different things. And then you got LIMBER LITE. So let's see what we can do with LIMBER. So I think if any of you, for those of you who've used rubber hose or DK tool, you're going to recognize this. It's just a limb with two controllers. And it looks like it just names them end and start. And we could probably rename these two wrist, shoulder, so this is by the way, I haven't looked at this tool before this live stream, so this is the first time I'm looking at it. Of course, I use LIMBER, so I'm not like completely lost, but all right, yeah, this is the, oh, I guess this is the wrist. And this is the shoulder. You got all the same parameters here that you would on a regular LIMBER thing. I can bring up the bone curvature, so this looks a little bit more like a rubber hose limb. Where do I freelance? Well, a lot of times I freelance locally, just with people who know me. I haven't really gotten into any of the like the marketplaces, like what's it called, Upwork, or there's some other ones. I haven't really delved into those too deeply. I stay pretty busy with just word of mouth, so. So obviously you don't have any controls over the taper of the limb. If you wanted to do a taper, you'd have to just do it on the limb itself. So go to the contents, limb. stroke, taper, and then I love that Adobe finally added tapering to After Effects, but I do not really love how it works, if I'm being honest. I think that curve is just a little crazy. So there you have like a little taper. Yeah. There you go. All right. You guys should give me an idea of what to animate, what to build with this. So I want to see if we can do some stuff with this, because it's pretty basic, right? It's just you create a limb and it's there. Animate a lizard. You can use a bone as a body. It's a possibility. Any other ideas? That's awesome. I'm actually working on an update to that video to introduce some of the newer tools in the marketplace since that video has come out. There's a tool called Hot Dog for character rigging. Hot Dog. That's what it's called. Hot Dog. So I'm going to include that in the update. Animate Potato Man eating cereal or even fries. That could be fun. Mickey Mouse. Yeah, maybe we could do, I don't know if I'd do full Mickey Mouse, but maybe we could just to show you how I could animate a hand. In Rubber Hose, we do not get the foot controls like in Do It, but you told in your video that you can make a combo of both Rubber Hose and Do It to get the foot control. Can you explain how we do that? Yeah, maybe that's what we'll do with this, because you could probably do it also with LIMBER LITE. What does everybody think about that? Using this question as a prompt. I don't know, maybe I won't do a full character rig. Maybe I will if we have time, but I could show you how to rig up a leg with LIMBER LITE and Do It for the foot control. Sounds good. Better open up Illustrator then. Sounds good to me. Let's get a few more sounds good, and then we'll do it. What's my favorite cartoon movie? That's a good question. I loved Aladdin as a kid. I don't know what my favorite one is. I'll tell you what my favorite animated show is right now. Attack on Titan. That freaking show is crazy. Did anybody else watch Attack on Titan? Is the can you guys hear the music? Is it too loud? Oh, it's a little loud on my end. You saw the first season? You gotta finish it, man. The first season's good, but it just gets better and better. Well, there's 4 seasons now. 4 seasons, and now they just announced season 4, part 3 to finish off the series, hopefully. But, dude, Attack on Titans, if you guys haven't watched that, like, I always tell people, even if you don't like anime, Attack on Titans is a show you should try to watch, because, like, the first season, you're like, what is this show? This show is weird. And then after that, it just becomes like you start to binge watch it because it's so good. So good. All right. Well, sounds like there's a couple people who want to see how to rig up a limb with a Duick foot rig. So I think we'll do that. Even though I told you guys to say sounds good to me, only 2 of you said sounds good. Okay, sounds great. That's all I wanted. A third sounds good. All right, let's go over to Illustrator. Okay, so for a Duick foot rig, you have the foot. Let's see. See if I can just remember this off the top of my head. You've got the foot, you've got the toe, you've got the toe tip, and I'll enlarge this text in a second so you guys can see it. I know it's teeny. And then you got the heel. Okay, so this is really the ankle. But it's called the foot. And then this is where foot bends. And this is the front, the shoe, the toe, and the heel is the heel. So I don't need to explain what a heel is to you guys. Heel is a heel. So when designing this, we have to keep this in mind so that it will make sense. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just draw out a shoe. And of course, just for my reference, I'm going to draw out the heel. I always like to just use different colors for different parts. Just makes it easy for me to keep track of what I'm doing. Okay. So I want it to bend somewhere right here. So I'm going to take this circle and I'm just going to find a place for it. Right there. And then I'm going to adjust this to work around that circle. The name of Artem, what are you referring to here? The name of what? The show? You ever sell stock art? No, I don't. That's awesome. I wish I had an affiliate link for that, but I don't. Duick Angela. Yes, actually, I'm a supporter of them on Patreon, so I get regular updates on the next version of Duick. And yes, it does look promising. There's a lot of improvements over Duick Basel, and there's some new tools that I'm actually really excited about. That's awesome. That is actually, I didn't know that. But that's good to know because that's one of my favorite things about Limber, and one of my least favorite things about Duick. Especially if you want to create characters that can turn around, it's much better to have it on a slider. Artem, I can't type it for. Oh, actually, I can type it. What am I talking about? Attack on Titan. Ugh, just a second. I don't know what's going on here. Attack on Titan. That's the show. Got it? Okay. That's what we're doing right now, guys. We're doing the combo rig with Duick and Limber. Right now, I'm building out the shoe based on these little components. So this is an ankle. This is where the shoe's gonna bend, and then this is our shoe. And I'm just using basic shapes, but I'll end up making it more fly. While I'm designing this, I have a question for everybody. Why do you like animating characters in After Effects, or what appeals to you? Why do you choose After Effects for that versus the other programs out there for character animating? Some of you might say, well, I don't, but. Okay, what I need to do here is so think about that question, because I'm always interested to know why After Effects for your character animation. Okay. So I'm breaking the shoe up into different colors to show you how you need to build your shoe out to be rigged with Duick. So let's bring this shoe over to After Effects and my... So I've got Overlord here. You can't see the... there you go. Now you can see it. So I've got this Overlord. This is how I bring my stuff over from Illustrator to After Effects because it's the easiest way to do that. There's no releasing to layers involved, and then I don't have to convert it to shape layers in After Effects. I just grab the layers that I want to bring over to After Effects and I hit this button. And then I grab these, and I want these to be on a separate layer, so I'll grab them separately and then hit this button. And then when I go over to After Effects, I've got my shape layers right here. And it looks like these two layers need to be on the same layer. So I could push them over. I did it wrong, but instead of pushing them over, I'm just going to use this little script over here called Explode Shape Layers, which you can, it's kind of cut off here. And it'll just combine those two shape layers into one shape layer, and I can delete the other ones. So now I just have two layers that make up my shoe. I'm going to name this pink layer toes, and this layer foot. And I'm going to make sure that my foot anchor points are in the center of the joint here. And on this one, we want it to be the center of, I'm going to just turn off my limber. All right, let's read some of your guys' answers. Mr. Harker, habit, used AE for 10 plus years, don't want to have to move and learn anything else. That's a good point. I think that's actually the reason a lot of people do it. You know, this is an interesting point too, because I've tried out Moho and I found that once you started to get into the complexity of rigging a full-blown character with a bunch of smart animators or whatever they're called in Moho, that things started to slow down, just like After Effects, and started to get kind of buggy like After Effects. That was my experience. I don't know if that's your experience, but that's my experience. And I think one of the things that Moho does to increase performance is that all the previews are done at a very low res. So, but I do like Moho, and again, I think too, After Effects is my comfort zone. I kind of struggled to wrap my head around the way that you animate in Moho. But yeah. Since I've been using AE since 2013, I feel comfortable to use AE for most stuff. Good point. Yes, I do. I believe there's an affiliate link in the description. In fact, also, if you let me just look at something, because I think I have a discount code too. Oh, I don't. That's for a different company. Shoot. Well, I do have an affiliate link in the description for Overlord in most of my videos. Any of my live streams, anytime I use Overlord, I'll include an affiliate link in the description. And I really appreciate if you use those affiliate links. You don't have to, but you know, it helps support the channel. I don't get a ton from it, but every little bit helps. Buys me an energy drink. your affiliate purchase will buy me one of these. Yeah, I mean, you can export your final animation and then do the final composite in After Effects, but I get what you mean. And yeah, that's another reason. That's another good point, Artem. When your main app is After Effects, it's nice to be able to just do everything in one app. I don't like this modern day trend of splitting up apps. One example that comes to mind is how Google split all their Google Drive docs and stuff up into different apps on mobile. So it used to be on your iPhone, you'd have a Google Docs app, and it was like you could view your drive, you could create a doc, a sheet, a slideshow, all from one app, and then they split them all into separate apps, and it's just annoying because now you have to have the Google Drive app, and then you have to have the Google Doc app, and it's annoying when anyway, you guys get the point. I don't like splitting things up. I don't like jumping between apps. So that's a good point. If you just got Overlord, congratulations. You are now going to love working between Illustrator and After Effects way more than you used to. It's going to save you so much time. I'm telling you guys, the amount of time Overlord saves you will pay for itself in one project, because it's so easy. And the great thing is, let's bring up Overlord in After Effects, okay? You can also send shapes you create in After Effects to Illustrator, and then use Illustrator's tools to modify them, to make them better, whatever. And then you can send them back. And the great thing too is that one thing about bringing Illustrator files into After Effects is that things like gradients don't really translate when you convert to shapes. None of that, you don't have any problems with that with Overlord. Also, sometimes when you convert an Illustrator file to shapes, I don't know if you guys have ran into this, I'm sure some of you have, but when it converts it to a shape, you'll have a path for the shape, but then you'll also have a path for the artboard. I don't know why it does that, but it does. And you don't have to worry about that with Overlord. So I stand for Overlord. Overlord is the best, one of my favorite tools ever. Do you storyboard for clients first? Yeah, I do. And the reason why is because I've had projects in the past where I've done all this work creating the animation with like character animations, everything, and I've spent all this time, and then the client wants to go back and change an entire scene. Like, not just like, hey, let's change the outfit of this character, or let's have this character, instead of walking and sitting down, let's have them walk in and lean against the desk. I'm not talking like small changes like that. I'm talking like, how about instead of people working in an office, let's have them walking in their dog in a park. It's like you're throwing out everything I just did and starting from scratch. So I like to, usually my process is to give if I'm doing an explainer video, I would usually, once I have a script from the client, I will type out an audio visual script. So on one side of the page, we'll have what the narration is going to be saying or what text is going to be on screen. And then on the other side, I'll have what the corresponding visual for that part of the script is going to be. And so it's just, we haven't decided on like an art style. We haven't decided on any of that stuff yet. We're just kind of going through concepts, and I'm getting their pass off on those. Then I'll usually move into like a rough storyboard, and so that the client can kind of start to visually see the descriptions that are down on the paper, and make sure that that's what they're imagining, and that it's going to communicate what they want to communicate. And then from that rough storyboard, I'll refine it, start picking out colors, or I'll start like conforming it to their style brand or their brand guide style guide that they've given me. So incorporate their brand colors if it needs to. This is where we'll start to work on the art style. And I like to give clients as much opportunity to make big changes early on than to have them want to make big changes after I've already started to animate things. So yeah. Let's set up this foot thing. You guys are distracting me. No, it's good. I appreciate distractions, actually. I like when you guys ask questions. All right, I'm going to go over here to Do It. And for this, I'm going to have to use a structure. So I'll just grab the leg structure here, because we're just doing a leg here. We're not doing full body. And I'm grabbing the foot right here, and I'm going to line it up with the foot shape layer. And then I'm grabbing the toes structure. And sorry, there's some weird stuff going on with the transitions here because I got a new setup and I haven't fixed all the transitions from a new setup. And then I'm going to grab the tip toe here, and I'm going to place it over here because that's the tip toe. And then I'm going to grab, this is the heel. I'm going to put the heel like this, and then shoot. I'm just going to make the I'm gonna have to do this all over again because I didn't make the leg the right length. Okay. That's one thing that Do It needs to do better is like, and I think that's one of the things that makes Do It so frustrating to use in the first place. Oops, I grabbed the wrong thing. Is like, Do It requires you to do things in such a specific order. So just like what I just did, where I forgot to adjust the length of the thigh. And so if I want to go back and readjust the length of the thigh, I've got to go back and realign everything because you have to do it from top to bottom. And if you forget, if I want to make somewhat of an adjustment to this, I've got to then readjust the positions of all these things. And that's one of the things I think makes Do It so frustrating to use for beginners. And honestly makes people toggle edit mode to move structures out of order. Yeah, there is an edit button, and let's try it, because here's the reason why I say that. There is an edit button, but it seems to never work for me. Let's see if it'll work this time. I'm guessing it is this guy right here, right? That's not it. It's not that one. Oh, it's this one, right? Toggle edit mode. Ah, it's working. Okay. That is good to know. That's a little trick there. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Franco. That was really helpful. Just goes to show you, you can use a tool for many years and still not know everything that it can do. All right, so we got this all set up. You'll notice that I don't have a leg here, but that doesn't matter. We're gonna grab our structures and we're gonna hit the auto rig. But before we do anything, I forgot, we gotta parent our foot layer to the foot structure. So foot layer to the foot structure layer, and the toe layer to the toes structure. Now, when we select the controller, it's our heel roll, foot roll. Cool. So now, linking this up to our limber limb is super easy. We'll just take let's rename this so it's we'll just parent the hip controller to the thigh structure. So now if I move this around the hip, and I'm going to reverse the taper here. We'll parent the ankle. We're going to parent the ankle to the foot controller. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to reverse this. You know what? We're not even going to do a taper. Okay. So now we just need to make sure that our limber limb is long enough and bending in the same direction. Boom. So now we got our limber, and I'm going to actually also bring down the bone curvature. Oops, don't want to grab the ankle. We want to grab the limber, the foot. So we'll just use the Duick foot controller as our controller, and then we can use the why is that not following the structure? Oh, you know what? So you see what I just did there? I did the foot roll, and our layer is not following the thing. It's because I parented the ankle controller from Limber LITE to the wrong layer. I parented to the foot controller, which means it'll follow its position, but it won't follow the structure layer. So it actually needs to be parented to the foot structure layer. So, and you know what it's a structure layer because it's got the S. So I actually need to parent this to the foot rather than the controller foot. See, this is a C for the controller. This is S for the structure layer. I need to parent the ankle to the structure layer and not the foot layer, because if we want it to be able to follow the foot when it rolls, it needs to be parented to the structure layer. Now it works. So that's it. That's basically it. And we go here and go, okay. We can make adjustments to our legs so that our knees are always following the keep grabbing the wrong layer. And you honestly don't have to line your limber layer up with the structures, the thigh and calf of Duick. Doesn't really matter. In fact, I have the hip controller of Limber parented to the thigh of Duick, but you could do it the other way around. You could just parent the thigh of Duick to the hip of Limber if you wanted to, and then you parent the hip of Limber to the body, and yada yada yada. How would you go about wearing rigging a woman that wearing a skirt? Well, I'll tell you, there's no easy way. There's no easy way. What I would probably attempt first would be to rig the woman without a skirt, and then probably manually animate the skirt on top of the rig. Yeah, super simple, huh? And you don't have to do this any character. You could do this with DK tool. You could do this with rubber hose, any tool. You're basically just taking the limb. You're setting up a Duick leg with that gives you the full control over the foot, and then you're parenting it. You're doing the auto rig, so you have all that functionality, and then you're just taking the limb from Limber or rubber hose, and bada bing, bada boom, Bob's your uncle. I'm just gonna do one last thing. Let's customize this Limber layer a little bit, because I want to show you guys that you can customize it. The first thing is, let's change this color to more of a flesh tone. And then we are going to, let's put like some shorts on them. So to do that, I'm going to copy the, don't want to copy the layer. I'm going to copy the limb group. Why is it? There we go. So now I got the same thing. And I'm going to increase the stroke width of this group, and I'm going to change the color to blue. He's going to be wearing jeans, and I'm going to add a trim paths, and I'm actually going to make these a little bit higher. I'm going to do that. You see why I'm doing that in a second. I'm going to duplicate that group again. I don't know why I keep duplicating the layer. Okay. Duplicate that again, and this time I'm going to change the cap to be butt cap and bring this down. So this is the same way you would customize a rubber hose, basically. DK tool has built-in tools to help you basically do the same thing. And you know what, now that we have that all set up, I'm going to go to the original limb and I am going to taper it a little bit. Not that much though. And you know what? I'm going to delete this circle. There we go. And I'm going to duplicate this again, change this to white because he's going to have some socks on. Going to add a trim paths once again to this and bring a sock down. And once again, we're going to change this to a butt cap. The taper is not going to be quite as crazy. And then round cap. And then I'll grab these two, group them together, and let's name them sock. And show. This is a little homegrown script that I had developed called Take Shape. I don't have as much experience with 3D rigging, so I'd imagine though that it can be pretty difficult. Here we go. We got a little customized limb here. Go over here. Let's change the color of the shoe to like a dark gray. And we can turn off our now we have all the functionality of a, get the foot roll. Do it. And what's great about this is it runs a little bit quicker because we're not using Duick for the full leg. We have less layers. I have a client that uses a lot of outlined artwork, so no fill colors, just solid stroked outlines. How would you personally go about doing this with Limber, etc., if that makes sense? I think I understand what you're saying. So is the middle, like in between the outlines, transparent? So you know, like... Let's see if I can figure out what you're talking about. If we did a new bone. What I might do is stroke, duplicate the limb layer here, make this, no, we're gonna make the stroke underneath slightly thicker. I don't know if this is gonna work, but I'm kind of interested to see. Do you mean something like this? Where the fill color matches the background? Or is there no fill, like you could see objects through it? What is your favorite effect in After Effects? I don't know. Probably set matte. So the follow-up question was just the middle, this does have a fill color. It's just set to black, so it's set to the same color as the background. Or do you mean there is no fill? You could literally, if I put a shape behind this, like, you know, oops. If I draw a shape behind this, are you talking you'd be able to see that shape through the middle of this arm? That's what that was my follow-up question. How do you manage a scene with multiple characters in your project? Do you render each character animation separately, or what's the simplest approach? So this is something I might touch on in the course, but the short answer is with multiple characters, typically in the past, I've just kind of brute forced it and worked with both of the characters in the scene. Luckily, in the past, a lot of times I'm using pretty simple artwork, so it doesn't slow down my machine too much. I'm assuming the two issues that you've probably experienced when you've done this are, one, it really bogs down your machine to be animating two characters in one scene, and two, with if you're using Duick and all of its structure layers, you're going to have hundreds of layers, and it's just hard to manage all that. So if that's the case, if I'm kind of correctly guessing the issues that you're running into, there's a function in Duick called extracting your controllers, where you can actually create a character in a composition, in its own composition, and then you can embed that composition in another composition and extract the controller layers without extracting all the artwork layers and the structure layers and all that stuff, so that you just have the composition layer and then all the controllers you need to animate that character. And you can animate the character inside that original composition in the embedded composition. Hopefully that gives you a little insight. So that's how you would manage in terms of the number of layers you'd have to manage. That's one way you can simplify it. But yeah. In terms of performance, like how much it takes a hit on your computer, typically when I start to run into that, I start to turn off things that I'm not currently working on. So there's a type of workflow that I like to do with character animation where it's kind of you're adding layers of animation on top, and so you kind of focus on one aspect of the character animation and then you move on to the next. And so I like to turn off anything that's not incredibly important for the current layer that I'm working on, just because with character animation, it's nice to be able to iterate quickly. Before I get back to Mr. Harker, before I get back to your question, I just wanted to finish up this with one of the reasons that I love Limber is because you can use simple bones like this to do your animation, to finesse your animation. And in the full version of Limber, you can actually then design your limbs and then copy that design and paste it to your animation. And so while you're working on the animation, you're working with just simple limbs so that you can quickly preview how your animation looks. And then once you're ready to like give it its final look, you can paste limb styles onto it. So I really like that about Limber. Yeah, for this, I mean, yeah, I guess this is how I would do it if that's the style. But if you wanted a style where you could see through the limb, I might do it differently. I wanted to try just a. So yeah, that's what I was wondering. I might, if I wanted to be able to see through the limb, I would use a linear key and just key out the color. And obviously, if you just wanted to key out the color, you'd choose a color of the fill color that is not showing up anywhere else in your thing. But this is a good question. Well, it depends on the project, and it depends. Quite honestly, it also depends on the budget of the client. Most of the time, if I'm using a template, it's for a lower budget, and it's I'm not using it. I'm using it as a starting point. I can't think of any time where I've downloaded a template and basically just changed the words in it and use it as is, because most of the time templates don't perfectly fit what a client's looking for. But sometimes, yeah, if I can use a template as a starting point, for sure. Especially if the client's budget is tight and they don't have time, they don't have the budget to hire like a designer or whatever. Yep, extracting controllers, awesome function. I actually have a video Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me? Let's see. I think this mic's working now. That's weird. I guess I didn't charge the little battery pack for my mic. Okay, awesome. Thanks for hanging in there with me, guys. We'll just use my little mic here for the time being. How does this mic sound, by the way, in terms of the quality? So let me go back over the extraction, what I was saying, because I think my mic cut out at that point. But basically, if you have, let's say you create this character named Fred, you rig him up in his own composition, and you name that composition Fred, and this is Fred's composition. Nothing else, no backgrounds, no nothing. It's just that character rig. You can then take that composition, you can put it in scene 1, let's say, for example, and you can extract the controllers from Fred's composition, and those controllers will be extracted into scene 1. So then you'll have the composition and the hand and foot controllers and whatever any other controllers you use to create Fred. And then you can use those controllers and Fred will animate. Now, here's the cool thing about extraction is that I can go into, say, let's say scene 4. I'm just kind of making things up as I go, but let's say another scene 4, I can take that same composition. I don't have to go back and make a new Fred composition and re-rig Fred from the ground up. I can just go back to Fred's original composition and drag it into scene 4 and hit extract again, and I will get all those controllers, and I can do a completely different animation, and the animations in scene 1 and in scene 4 will be totally different because the extract function uses master properties, which doesn't actually modify the original composition. So you can use that to do several different compositions with just one rig. So that saves a lot of time. Guys, don't tell me this mic's better. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to use this mic in the future. I'm not a gamer. You know, if I were playing Call of Duty right now, I wouldn't mind, using this mic, but I don't. It breaks my heart that you guys would say that. I'm just kidding. It's fine. Just kidding. That's fine. Well, we're closing in on 2 hours, so we're going to wrap up here pretty quickly. Any questions? Any other questions before we jump off? That's fantastic about extraction, not having to duplicate comps. Yeah, huge time saver. So guys, before we jump off, I want to reiterate, I'm coming out with my character rigging and animation course, and things like extraction, other time-saving tools are things that I'm going to go over in the course, as well as I'm going to teach you my techniques for creating some more dynamic, fun, emotive character rigs so that you can come up with some cool character animations. At the beginning of this live stream, for those who weren't here with us at the beginning, we were just talking about how it seems like a lot of the character animations that come out of After Effects are very stiff and boring and mechanical feeling, and it seems kind of like a standard. And I think I'm losing batteries left and right. Okay, but I'm plugged in now, so we won't lose audio anymore. Anyways, so as I was saying, we're going to talk about, in this course, we're going to talk about how to break out of that typical After Effects animation, and we're going to make some cool stuff like we're gonna look at how to make stuff like this, you know, that breaks out of that flat, boring thing. We're gonna talk about how to do character turns. We're gonna talk about how to creatively problem solve. We're gonna talk about how to deal with outlines on characters or partial outlines like this one. You know, all the techniques, all this stuff. So it's going to be a fun course. The course is going to come out early to mid-May, so pretty soon here. And you can pre-order the course for a discounted price at keyframeacademy.com/character-pre-order. And if you don't want to remember that, there's a link in the description of this video. And you can just click on that link. It'll take you right there. That was the website I just showed you. And then also, in case you weren't here for the beginning of this live stream, we're going to be using Limber as the main tool for rigging in that course. And if you're wondering, do you need to own Limber to take the course? No, you do not, because you will be given a full temporary license to Limber as a part of the course to use throughout the course. So I think Limber, if you want to do more dynamic, fun, engaging character animations, if you really want to be opened up to the world of what's possible in character animating in After Effects, you've got to give Limber a test drive. It's the best character rigging tool out there, in my opinion, and that's why I'm using it as part of this course. We will also be using Do I, but just not the character rigging part of Do I. We'll be using Do I for some other things to solve. Actually, we'll be using Do I to solve a lot of the issues that you will run into when creating your characters. Babu, there will be a little bit of expressions and scripting. Yes, there will be a little bit of that. Mr. Harker, pre-ordering Monday when I'm back in the office. Awesome. I really appreciate that. And best time right now is to pre-order because the price right now is pretty cheap for what's going to be in this course. I've got a lot of feedback on what people want to learn. And so it's going to be shaping up to be a pretty cool course. Are there any Illustrator plugins besides Overlord you use? No. I think if I was a full-time graphic designer, I'd probably have a plethora of plugins, but I usually just need Overlord for what I do. There is one that I've been eyeing, which is basically just a quick way to rename layers in Illustrator for character rigs. You just click on the layer and you click on another little window or a little part of the body, and it will automatically rename that layer. That could be really nice. So I'm going to look into that. But if you guys want to grab Overlord, again, I have an affiliate link in the description of this video. I hope. If I don't, I'm going to be really sad that I don't. But it's there. So I'm not sad. So I have that affiliate link. Help support the channel. Buy me an energy drink with the commission I'll make on that. But even if you don't use my affiliate link, still pick up Limber because it will save you so much time. I mean, sorry. Well, you should pick up Limber. I have an affiliate link for that too. But Overlord. Pick up Overlord, and that's an awesome tool. It'll save you so much time. Make sure I've got all the questions. Do you think it's possible to make a living from specializing in character animation? Definitely, I do. If you become really good at it. I mean, there's people who make a living being animators, and that's what they do. They animate cartoons and stuff. So the real question is, can you make a living animating characters in After Effects? And it really depends, but I think so. I think so. I mean, it might not be the only thing you do in After Effects, but learning to rig and animate characters in After Effects is definitely worthwhile pursuit, and I'll tell you why. Because it's hard, and because it's hard, it's something that not everybody's going to learn to do. So if you learn to do it, you know, that's a good way for you to stand out in the industry. Because there's going to be people that try it, get frustrated, and go, okay, I'm not going to do character animation. This is not my thing, right? But you can make it happen. You can learn it. You can put in the time to learn it. And because of that, that's another skill set that you have that not everybody has, which makes you more valuable. Frame by frame smoke on the first keyframe. I don't think there's any. Okay. So that is, yeah. I was like, what? That's actually a template. Little secret for you there. Those little smoke things are just pre-animated stuff that I threw in there from AE Juice. I'm not a frame-by-frame animator. I've done a little bit, but I'm not very good at it. That's personally why I love After Effects for character animation, because I'm able to do stuff that looks cool, and I don't have to be good at drawing, and I don't have to be good at frame-by-frame animation. As long as I know how to animate with keyframes, that's all I need to do. Talking to you, really helpful tips. Thanks. When is your next live session? Probably Wednesday or Thursday of next week. I'm gonna try a Wednesday or Thursday morning, to see if I can catch more of the European crowd, that side of the world in the morning. But midweek seems to be pretty good for a lot of people. Also, next Tuesday, I'm gonna have another video coming out on the channel. It's going to be, I think I have planned for my favorite After Effects tools. So things like Limber, Overlord, and a few others that I think really help save time. So just tune in on Tuesday for that to find out. All right, guys. Well, any other questions about character rigging, animation, motion graphics, After Effects, cooking, baking? We have more viewers now than when we started, and now I feel bad about just jumping off because I want to answer people's questions. Again, if you weren't here the whole time, and you want to go back and watch the live stream, it will be in a playlist on my channel called Live Streams. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate you subscribing. And if you're not yet following me on Instagram, go follow me on Instagram right here. I'm almost at 10,000 followers, trying to get there. We're about 200 and something away. And I want to get there soon. So if you're not following me on Instagram, I sometimes post things on Instagram that I don't post on YouTube. Thank you, Ordinary Kim, for subscribing. Appreciate it. And again, all right, guys. Well, for those of you over in Europe, Asia, have a good night. Hope you guys have a good Sunday tomorrow. Mr. Harker, favorite energy drink by far, the Monster Zeros. This isn't my favorite flavor, but it's pretty good. What's yours? What is your favorite energy drink, or do you drink coffee? Artem, thanks for joining the stream. I always appreciate your questions. Artem, I want to try to figure something out for you for the course. I'm not sure what, but we'll figure something out. You're welcome, welcome. Thanks, guys, for joining and all the questions. I really appreciate the questions. I always appreciate when people join the stream. I have a question for the people that are still in the chat. Weekdays or weekends in terms of when is it easiest for you to join the stream? I always think weekends would be easier because you're not at work, but weekends are also when you're out doing other things. So you might not be able to join the stream. And weekdays, I always assume people are at work. They're not going to be able to jump on a live stream, but coffee's your go-to. Yeah. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I do sometimes shed tears over the price of energy drinks. Mr. Harker, that's a good feedback. Weekdays better for you. I mean, I could do it anytime. So weekdays, I'm gonna do another stream next Wednesday, Thursday. So give me ideas. Leave a comment on the stream or in the comment section about what kind of things you guys want me to cover in a live stream. I had an idea for a live stream. If I don't know if people would be interested in this kind of live stream, but would you guys ever want to just watch me work on something? And I can kind of explain what I'm doing, but sometimes I think it's sometimes interesting to just watch somebody work. I've thought about like screen capturing my work, my projects, and just posting those, and you could just watch them. But my wife just brought me some water. She's probably watching the stream and going, he needs to drink water and not energy drinks. Finish the 3D rotation could be nice. Yeah, maybe that's what we'll do on Wednesday, Thursday. I forgot about that because this LIMBER LITE thing came up and I wanted to check it out. And anyways, by the way, guys, LIMBER LITE's free. Go grab it. I think on one of these I want to do a full-on animation, like actually animate something and like have something to post. But it might be something that has to take, several different live streams to complete. Is there anybody else that does live streams on After Effects? Yeah, Mr. Harker, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. Um, Let me bring up your comment so everybody knows what I'm talking about. That's what I'm thinking too. Like, a lot of times the best tips and tricks come up during a project, and I'll be like, "Oh, that's a great tip for a YouTube video," and then I forget about it, or I remember what the tip was, but I forgot like the example to illustrate why it or what it the problem it solves. So I'm thinking it could be fun to do something like that where we just go through a project and you'll see where I go, okay, that's not working. What do I do with this? You know, you see where I have to make compromises too on things. So I gotta finish my monster before I break into that water. Oh yes, the red monster is probably my favorite flavor. Oh, but it's not always available where I'm at, so it bums me out. So anytime it is available, I like drink it every day because then they take it away. They take it away from me. Dude, crazy. I have several videos on tips and tricks. Go check out my channel. I have at least like 4 videos that are all about just tips and tricks in After Effects. So I got you covered there, brah. I got you covered there, dude. All right, guys. I think I'm going to jump off, but thanks for joining me. Always appreciate the comments and suggestions. If you have other suggestions for things to cover in future live streams, leave those suggestions in the comment section of the live stream, and I will make sure to put those in the schedule. If you ever want to get in contact with me, go ahead and DM me on the old Instagram right here. Or you can email me at john@keyframeacademy.com. If you have any questions about the course, go ahead and give me an email. Shoot me an email. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Again, pre-order for that course at keyframeacademy.com/character-pre-order, or there's a link in the description. Always appreciate everybody's participation and insight, and special thank you to you guys for helping me learn about the toggle edit mode for Duik. That's awesome. That I think lots of people are going to benefit from that little tidbit. I never knew that. Yeah, I've been using Duik for how many years, and I knew about the toggle edit button, but I always used it after my thing was all rigged up and not before, so I didn't know that that's how you could use it. So that's awesome. That's why I always say no matter what tool you decide to use, whether it's Limber, Rubber Hose, DK tool, Hot Dog. How many of you guys know about Hot Dog? You should definitely also have Duik installed, because it's free. Although if you're using Duik professionally, you should donate some money. But you should definitely have Duik installed, because even if you're not using Duik as for rigging characters, there's so many tools that are so useful that help you solve so many problems. So, and there's a new version of Do It coming out called Do It Angela. I'm gonna do a video on that as soon as I can. It's got a lot of new things. Artem, I don't know who Richard Wilson is. Is that the Richard Wilson? Let me look it up because maybe I have. What Richard Wilson? I gotta be honest, I have not read that book. If I'm looking at the same book you are, but I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's a good book. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Good night and good afternoon.